But what happens when the government starts policing the new age town square?
Donald Trump wins the presidency.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
Democrats are looking for someone to blame, point fingers, and they look to the social media companies. Unable to fathom that Hillary Clinton lost, they say that Russian collusion and bots are the reason that Donald Trump gets elected.
And to the president's apparent submission to the Russian government.
The Russians interfered in our 2016 election. They did so to favor Donald Trump.
Now, deluded by the Russian hoax, Democrats advance this narrative, spread conspiracy theories, and turn up the heat on our social media companies. They feel the pressure, and they respond the way that the left wants them to. They start labeling things as mis and disinformation. They blacklist and shadow ban accounts and secretly reduce the visibility of conservatives' posts. But they're not doing this just on their own accord. They're working in concert with the Department of Homeland Security, with the Department of Justice, and the FBI. Heck, multiple federal agencies get involved. Even the White House and the Biden campaign worked with big tech to censor speech that didn't align with their political message. That's your government. Your tax dollars funding your own censorship. In just a matter of a few years, social media platforms turned into a propaganda arm of the federal government. As Elon Musk put it,
the degree to which Twitter was simply an arm of the government was not well understood by the public. Like, Republicans were suppressed at 10 times the rate of Democrats.
We welcome everyone to this first
Now,
hearing.
at the beginning of the 118th Congress, the Select Subcommittee on Weaponization was formed to investigate how the federal government has been weaponized against its own citizens. For this video, I will focus on our work investigating how the government worked with social media companies and others to censor speech. And at times, third parties, such as universities, were used to launder their censorship activities. The prologue to our work really starts in October and November of 2022 when Elon Musk purchases Twitter. He provides internal company documents to independent journalists, and the Twitter files are released to the public in December. Now, the Twitter files exposed how user accounts, specifically major conservative voices, were shadow banned, suspended, blacklisted, how the Hunter Biden laptop story was censored, but most crucially, how censorship activities started from actions by the government. That's where we started our investigation. In the lead up to the 2020 election, the FBI personnel warned social media companies of an incoming hack and leak. In fact, the FBI had 30 meetings in 2020 with social media companies in the lead up to the election. In other words, the social media companies were conditioned for something to happen in October. And so what happens when the New York Post Hunter Biden laptop story breaks? They do exactly what the FBI had set them up to do: censor the story. Twitter went on to censor the story, and the FBI continued to double down on its censorship efforts, denying tens of millions of Americans the right to review the information ahead of the 2020 election. But it wasn't just Twitter. According to Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook censored the story because the FBI had set them up for it. We knew if the FBI and other government agencies were involved at Twitter, then we needed to follow that same thread with Facebook. The problem was that Facebook wasn't going to voluntarily give up these documents to the committee. And so we kicked down the damn door. We issued subpoenas, conducted transcribed interviews, and even had to threaten to hold Mark Zuckerberg in contempt of Congress to get the requested documents. Our findings were startling. Senior Facebook officials said in emails that the White House had put pressure on them to remove posts, in some cases memes, in other cases true information about vaccine side effects. When Facebook pushed back, the White House was outraged. Desperate in their efforts to repair relations with their regulators, and of course the ever-present threat of their Section 230 being taken away, Facebook changed their company policy. They even admitted that they changed their policy because of pressure from the White House. But the Biden White House didn't stop. They wanted to shadow ban the very same publication that broke the laptop story and even completely remove people off of their site. Now, all of this work that we've done on the Facebook files is informing legislative solutions to further protect your constitutionally protected First Amendment rights. The last work stream of our investigation has focused on the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, otherwise known as CISA. So CISA was established to protect critical infrastructure and to protect against cybersecurity threats. However, in just a few years, CISA has become the nerve center of the government's censorship operations on social media. Now you're probably asking, how did they do it? Well, they worked with Stanford University to create the Election Integrity Partnership, or as we call it, the EIP. In practice, CISA, with the help of Stanford, targeted everyday citizens, politicians, and commentators with conservative viewpoints. Despite their goal of combating disinformation, the EIP worked with social media companies to censor true information, satire, and political opinions. Apparently, they can't take a joke. Now, while we have exposed CISA and Stanford for what they have done, our investigative work is far from over. We will continue to investigate the extent of the government's interaction with social media platforms and third parties, including those used to facilitate censorship by proxy. We have come a very long way since that first internet message was sent in 1969. We can connect with friends and family across the country, get our news instantly, and voice support for our preferred candidates and issues. And as a member of the Select Subcommittee on Weaponization of the federal government, I am committed to always protecting your First Amendment rights, including those online. But this job isn't just up to me. If you believe that you're being censored, say something, reach out to Congress, post about it. Together, we will continue to fight for our First Amendment rights and ensure that the 21st century doesn't become 1984.